Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. Thank you for joining us for the 15th Annual Massachusetts Independent Comics Expo. Since 2010, MICE has grown into the largest independent comic show in New England, so thank you all for making that happen. I'm Allison, a staff member at MICE, and welcome to MICE's Slimy Yet Satisfying, Comics About Bugs panel. Today's moderator, Sadie Saunders. Sadie is a Boston-based comic artist, barista, and designer who likes telling narratives that are driven by humor and create a sense of joy and unease. They graduated in May as part of the inaugural Visual Narrative MFA class at Boston University and now serve as project manager here at MICE. Without further ado, Sadie Saunders.
Thank you, Allison. It's also very handy that we're roughly the same height. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for some bug talk. Last year, I was supposed to present a panel on cats and comics, but I unfortunately got COVID and could not come. But I'm trying to really make my claim here in Boston as the resident, little guy expert, little guys in comics. So very passionate about these sort of themes we've been finding as we sort of curate the MICE work together. I wanted to briefly talk about my inspirations behind the panel name and also just bugs and storytelling. If you know me, you know I also have a background in animation, but something that I really hold dear to my heart is the sort of texture and deliciousness of the bug scene in The Lion King. Very few animated moments inspire this sort of mouth-watering moment. Also, the cheese pull from the Goofy movie is a very notable, that's a piece of animation I want to eat. So thinking about bugs as a vessel for things that are colorful, exciting, delicious, but also inspire the horrors of man. I don't know if any of you had to read this in high school. Yeah, but the Kafka's The Metamorphosis is also a short story and a storytelling vessel of a man, Gregor Samsa, who wakes up one day and has transformed into a giant cockroach. And definitely reflects Kafka's own feelings about his existence and the horror of everyday life. But without further ado, we are here to talk with our panelists about their bugs and their take on bugs in comics. I'd also like to give a shout out to Jay Holzer, who could not be here today. He was originally on our panel lineup. He makes wonderful comics about sort of the life of the bug, a little bit of scientific, a little bit of storytelling angle. He also was an early sort of featured guest here at MICE, so please check out his work. He was unable to attend sort of last minute, so yeah, shout out to Jay. Without further ado, we have Vernon Meidlinger Chin. Yes, okay. I've been making him repeat his name to me. Valita Durkin, Allison Conway, and Rosemary Mosco, who was kind enough to join us last minute to talk about her bug comics as well. If I could get each of you to go down the line, introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about your comic, and then tell me what kind of bug you would be if you were a bug. No pressure.
Is this, oh.
There you go.
I'm Vernon Meidlinger Chin. I am a science educator in Washington, D.C. I've been working on a comic called Arthropunk since 2017, and it's about anthropomorphic bugs who play in a punk band. And I think if I was a bug, I would really want to be a praying mantis.
Hell yeah. Good choices.
That is the hardest question. Starting with the hard one.
It's a really hard question for a bunch of bug nerds, so I apologize. You're allowed to change your mind later.
Okay. I'll go with my favorite of the moment. So I'm Rosemary Mosco. I am internet cartoonist since 2000, and I make books for kids. Yeah, not important. And if I could be a bug, so there is a really cool butterfly called the harvester that I'm obsessed with. Already ominous sounding name, but when it's a baby, when it's a caterpillar, it kills and eats these little woolly aphids. And so it's our only carnivorous butterfly locally. And then when it's an adult, it's really tiny and adorable, but it only feeds on like the sap exuded by its previous prey. So it's like cute, but also like a little evil. It's probably that one.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm Allison Conway, and my book came out this year. It's called A Pill Bug Story, and it's about Millie the pill bug. Oh, DQ. And her trials and tribulations of just wanting to relax and have a cup of tea in the bug world, which is harsh and aggressive. And if I could be a bug, I kind of wanted to say a praying mantis too, but they've got that thing, like I've seen those videos where they dip them in water and they have that parasite in their butt. So I don't want that to happen. Which, right, like maybe a healthy praying mantis, or maybe a pill bug. And I don't just say that because of my book, but because like people have them as pets. So maybe it could be like being a house cat, where you just kind of hang out and get fed. So I'll say a pill bug, just avoid the parasite. Oh, there probably is a pill bug parasite I don't know about. But there you go. Everyone's got parasites.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Valita Durkin. I guess I've been making comics for like 10 years, but I've recently self-published my book like last year for TCAF, so self-published. I printed it, whatever. If I was a bug, I want to say bee because, of course I love bees, but I actually don't think I'm as efficient as a bee. I think I'd probably be like a rosy maple moth.
Yeah.
They're like cute and femme, and like I feel like I'm like them.
Yeah. No, it's a good choice. I think I'd be like some form of moth. I like to think that I'm intricate but a little dusty, easily attracted to light, but intriguing enough. Thank you guys, and thank you so much for being here. So, just going to show a little bit of the work. We've got. I should have done this while you're introducing yourself, but that's okay. I'm going to head over to our first question. We can backtrack. So what's the allure of using bugs as a storytelling device? And what were your sort of specific like background or motivation? Because you said you're a science educator, you're a beekeeper, so I'd love to hear more about like what the allure of bugs as your character vessels. You've started the row, so we'll go to you first,
sure.
Vernon.
I think back to when I was a kid, and I was really interested in nature documentaries as a kid, because when I think back to being a kid, I didn't have that much power, I didn't have that much influence, I was just a little guy. But you watch nature documentaries, and dinosaurs and lions and sharks and stuff, they're powerful and they're majestic. And then praying mantises and spiders and wasps are like the most accessible, scary apex predators that you can also be like, ooh, I kind of want to be you. And so I was the kind of kid who would go out I grew up in southern Missouri, and I would go out into the yard and the park, and I would just try and find as many bugs as I could, and the scarier they were, the better. I want to grab some hornets or whatever. And so I think that was something that stuck with me. And I thought, these are really compelling creatures for a kid, and I still find them to be really compelling.
Yeah. Also sounds like you were sort of inspired by them to, go out and roll around a little bit.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. I'm allowed to say that, right?
So I forgot to mention that my comics is called Bird and Moon, and that's the one that I've been making for a really long time. And it's mostly about birds, so thank you, bug people, for letting me talk about bugs.
I also love birds. So.
Oh, good, okay. I feel like birds are an easy sell, but bugs really aren't. as easy a sell.
I don't know, bugs are hot right now. Look at all these people here for the bugs.
That's true. I love them so much. I want to say Jay Hostler, who I am doing a poor attempt to replace, wrote the book. It's called, now they've renamed it, but it was called Clan Apis.
Yes.
And I read that when I was young and impressionable, and he made I was crying by the end of it. It's really emotional. It's like a beautiful meditation on bee science and death, which apparently you can do. I was like, you can do this? So I think he showed that was possible and expanded what I understood about bugs. But mostly, I don't do long form stuff as much, so I'm motivated by how cool the science is. So this one, which is about a beetle that masquerades as an army ant butt and rides around and is never caught by the army ants and is kind of like a parasite, but it just perfectly mimics a butt. That's like its entire life. Came from a talk at the local Cambridge Entomological Club, which I go to religiously, and there's always comics fodder there. So the more you learn about bugs, the more hilarious stuff there is for comics.
That's awesome. When does that meet?
It's only through the school year, and it's like I think it's every first Tuesday. It might be every second Tuesday. I don't remember. I get a little email when it happens. Is anyone here in the Cambridge Ent Club? It's yes. Second Tuesday. Okay, yeah, Lindsay, who also does amazing critter stuff. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
There was somebody else who came up and bought my book because they were in that club. I was like, what is that? So I wrote it down. I just checked. I was like, it's the Cambridge Entomological Club. Okay. Wait, what was that? Oh, it was why we...
Like bugs is like a storytelling vessel, and I think it's especially important for yours because like it's from the POV of a pill bug, but it's also very like slice of life.
Right, so I've always liked bugs, as we all do up here and in here, and everywhere, except, they just don't know it yet. But I actually had I had lice when I was a kid, which I know a lot of people did. Yes. That was pretty common. And then I got bed bugs, carpet beetles, and roaches just in the world in my apartment when I was in college. And this lasted for a long time. It was 6 months that we had just bugs in the apartment everywhere. And so when I was a kid and I had lice, I was like, Mom, I think there's lice. There's bugs in my hair. And she was like, don't worry about it. She was definitely in denial. And then I saw bugs crawling in my hair. And I was like, Mom, look, that's bugs. And she was like, okay. And so the lice infestation had gotten really bad because she looked through my hair and she was like, oh my God, and practically threw up. So we did the whole thing. I don't think we used mayonnaise, but we used tea tree oil. And I felt kind of bad for them because I was like, they just have whole generations that have just lived on my head now for 3 weeks. And now they're dying. And so that always kind of stuck with me. And then getting the bed bugs in college. Well, we had carpet beetles, which I don't know if anybody's heard of carpet beetles, but they are a crazy, we had a crazy infestation. They were everywhere. And they were in my bed, too, so I was like, it's bed bugs. But then I was Googling bed bugs, and I was like, no, this isn't a bed bug, because bed bugs are, circular, and this one was, little and elongated and striped. But we had a really bad infestation. So the landlord didn't do anything for a long time because they were like, this isn't a bed bug, so sorry. But they were everywhere. They were all up in the couch. That's how I think we got it, because I think my roommate brought in a couch from outside. Anyway, all this to say that... I had nightmares for a long time about bugs, and I was like, okay, I have to draw them. And I had the same thought. We had somebody who came in and fumigated because we also found out we did have bed bugs. So we just had all of them. And then I found roaches in my bed at one point too. They were just always in my bed. I don't know what was going on. I've also found spiders in my bed.
I my things and moved across the world.
Right.
To Antarctica, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Right, I just need to go into the ice. But I had the same thought where it's just man, this is just generations of carpet beetles that have just lived in this house, and then we're sorry, you don't get to exist. And same with roaches. I live in New York, and I have a soft spot for roaches, especially the big ones. I never let people kill them, and they always fight me on it because they're not an infestation. I get if you have an infestation, you kind of have to take care of it, but Like if it's the big roaches, they're not actually an infestation. They're just like big babies. So just put them outside and they'll fly away. So anyway, just the idea of like these creatures that we live with that are just doing their lives and going about their life. And, you know, they don't really think like we do as far as I can tell, but they also just kind of want to be comfortable and find a nice place to sleep and find food. And so anyway, the reason I made a pill bug story is because I was like, okay, what is the most approachable bug that I remember from childhood after all of that bug trauma? And I was like, a pill bug. You poke them and they just go, no, and curl up. And I was like, I'll do a book about them. And then I was reading about how they're more related to lobsters than like insects. And I was like, what? And they always have to be moist and in like wet dirt. And they're the only like land crustacean. I was like, okay, idea born. And that's pretty much, and then just wanting to like capture like, what do bugs do if they were like us, but still bugs? And just trying to enjoy life, but there's a lot of threats and there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of interpersonal issues.
Millie is very relatable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, that's the spiel.
All right, Valita?
Yeah, so kind of piggybacking off that a little bit, I think bugs are like, well, specifically bees, I guess, which I was working with. They're very cute when you look at them up close in an odd way, and then they're also like terrifying and very powerful. And that was something that I wanted to do and to play with, and I made them more human, as you can see. There's some they're like aliens in a way, bees, but they're also kind of familiar, and I wanted to make them even more familiar by giving them like luscious human bodies. And yeah, going back to when you were talking about the metamorphosis, I also read that in high school, and I think, as you can see, it might have had some sort of influence on the rest of my life.
It will never go away.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny, I kind of did relate with Gregor Samson, having, like, just gone through puberty myself, and so, like, feeling, you know, I changed quite a bit physically, and, you know, there's a connection there with bugs who some bugs go through a couple of metamorphoses in their life, and a lot of humans, actually, if you really think about it, go through couple of metamorphoses in their life, like physical changes where their body is like kind of different when they come out the other side. So that was something that I was interested in talking about via bees. And I did keep bees for a while, but back to how they're so powerful, and even though they're so small, I actually developed an allergy to them, which was like shocking. But it's actually okay. I'm okay with this. I've come to peace with this because, you know, you do have to respect them. They can take care of themselves. Like, yeah. They're efficient.
Thank you. I've also been excited to have your work on this panel because I think I mentioned this to you earlier, but a lot of the people I was pitching this to, I was like, and there's sexy bee people, which grabbed a lot of people's attention, so thank you. As characters, what do bugs give us that like a regular human does not? It does sort of piggyback off of the like storytelling vessel, but like what gives us more? You know, like Gregor Samsa waking up as a bug. It's a lot different than Gregor Samsa waking up as another creature. So what does they give us that people can't?
I think that's a fantastic question. I think of this a little bit from the point of view of what it takes to draw a person versus drawing a bug. So in Arthropunk, the two main characters are a cockroach named Gregor.
I noticed that.
and a praying mantis named Richard. That's not a reference to anything. His name's just Richard.
But is Gregor a reference to the metamorphosis?
Absolutely, yeah. But I think that drawing two different types of bugs, I think allows, at least for me, a greater contrast visually between two characters. So Gregor's orange, Richard is green. Gregor is kind of like squat and round. Richard has a long neck and a triangular head. So they're immediately visually different, and I love being able to build in that visual contrast to two characters in a way that I feel like is harder because with drawing humans, that if I'm drawing humans, there's only so much I can change the shape of them before they become unrecognizable as humans or they become really uncanny.
Yeah.
But with bugs, you can do a lot. You can mess with their body shape a lot, and they still seem like bugs.
Yeah, the silhouette can be like very varied. Thank you.
I find them easier to draw because,
So valid.
yeah, so they don't have all of the squishy stuff on them. They're just sort of like, I mean, the exoskeleton is right there. You learn the anatomy and you're all set. It's like there's like an instruction book for each bug.
Yeah.
And you just kind of move those limbs around and they're okay. I really like writing and drawing from the perspective of a bug because I think they feel really alien to a lot of people. And but once you understand what they're trying to do, I like snakes too, and I feel the same way about snakes. Is they're really predictable once you know kind of what's within the range of behavior for them. So that isn't to say you can run up and give them a hug, but that's like if you leave an animal alone and if you understand its perceptual system, it won't hurt you. So I feel like writing from their perspective helps me experience and promote more empathy towards them. So this one's about all of the different creatures that try to pretend to be bees. And I thought it would be funny if the bees had a conversation with all of the little guys that try to pretend to be bees. Because bees are so scary, a lot of critters try to look like bees, or sound like bees. And there are so many bee mimics. So drawing from their perspective kind of makes it cute and funny and relatable as opposed to terrifying and alien.
It would be like a very different conversation, the ant and the bug pretending to be the ant's second butt. Like it's a different comic if it's about people.
Well, I actually had someone sent me a picture. They did a holiday, a Halloween costume based on it. And it wasn't that someone acted like the butt, but they dressed like an ant and then they made two butts and they drew a beetle on one of them. And I was like, this is magical.
That's very important.
I guess I think I was drawn to bugs also because they're very kind of science fiction, and how you can explore a lot of different ideas in science fiction and make it more kind of digestible and approachable, and also get weirder with it versus just humans in a human world that do human things. In my book, bugs just kind of die all the time. And if I had a story about
in mass sometimes too.
Right. And so if that happened in a book featuring humans, that would be really bleak and really heavy. And I love exploring death. I find death really interesting, but I wouldn't want it to be, that story wouldn't be approachable. That would be a really hard story to read if everybody was human. And also other things bugs are so bugs are so delicate, and so and humans are really delicate too, but I feel like I can explore that more with bugs again in a more approachable way. I guess I just want it to be very approachable, and bugs I guess aren't actually that approachable for a lot of people, but I think if they're drawn I draw them kind of cute, that makes it more approachable. And there's the ladybug. I always think about how ladybugs, their wings are always kind of messed up when they close their outer shell. It always folds weirdly, and I'm oh, ladybugs, if they could think the way we do, or maybe they do. I'm not in a ladybug head. They'd be afraid of their wings breaking all the time, probably, because that's constantly a thing that I see. I'll see a ladybug there, the wing is all messed up. Or stuff like that, or the main pill bug has to carry around a spray bottle with her because she has to stay moist all the time.
Yeah, your bugs have their own little quirks based on the actual bug's needs. So they're very much characterized that way.
Right, right, and that could be similar to a something a human has to have, an inhaler or something, but. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun to make it bug-centric, depending on what the bug has been through or what metamorphosis they have to go through. So yeah, I guess it's fun to explore their personality along with their bug, specific bugism based on their species or type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess one thing that bugs, I was thinking sort of similar to
Sorry,
what...
this page goes crazy.
Yeah, I mean, bugs can do that, for instance.
Yeah.
But that they're sort of, what Allison was saying is they can do some really brutal things, or seemingly brutal to us. And in my story, there's a scene where the main character, who's a queen honeybee, hatches out first, and she has to like kill her sisters that were going to be honeybee queens. So, you know, while that seems really brutal to us, the worker bees talk to her about it, and it, you know, it's just like a sort of a matter of a fact thing for them, and hopefully seems a little less drastic. But at the same time, I mean, humans do brutal stuff to each other as well. So yeah, that's something that they can offer. And then, yeah, one of the things that really attracts me to bees specifically is just like when you look at like a mass of them, and there's just so many of them, it's like, and they're all moving in different directions at once. It's like, it's awesome in the old sense of the word, that it's like, sort of inspires awe, and it's also like, it gets you a little scared. It's like looking at the ocean, like, you know, oh, how beautiful an ocean, but then you see the wave after wave coming in towards you. So that was one thing I was interested in, like how efficient they are at making more bees.
Yeah, no, the main character, she has to kill the old queen, right?
Well, she goes to kill the old queen and actually ends up not killing the old queen, because these are, I did anthropomorphize them quite a bit, and they're almost like weird little sci-fi fairies, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
And basically the old queen convinces her not to kill her, and that actually the hive's intention, which the hive is almost functions, you can think of it like an internet or a social network, like they can kind of plug into this collective unconscious that takes the shape of a bunch of bees talking in a head, whatever, and they can exchange information that way, but basically convinces her not to kill the queen and to go out and find a new place for the hive to settle. So.
Very exciting. Oh, we didn't get to pause on one of Vernon's slides, so I want you to hit this one real quick because I skipped you.
This is, so even though Arthropunk is ostensibly about bugs, very few of my comics are jokes about them being bugs. It's like...
Yeah, one is a very good comic joke about Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah. So very quickly after starting this webcomic, I think I did 2 comics where the joke is, oh, they're bugs. And then the rest of the series I've just kind of treated them like people.
Yeah.
And they end up having conversations that I have with my friends about movies we like or about bands we like. They talk about music a lot. And so...
I mean, they're in a band.
They're in a band, yeah. Yeah, and so I think after these very bug-centric jokes, it's been much more kind of pop culture commentary-centric, and that they happen to be bugs because it works for it visually.
Yep. Let's go through some artwork real quick. Yeah. This is the scene where she is talking to the queen, right?
Yeah, she's
The old queen.
So the old queen has that fabulous hair, the long hair, and that is the main character, Mel. And they're both kind of talking to the collective unconsciousness of the hive, which is like taking this shape of a pregnant bee woman giving birth to a bunch of bees. And this is where she gets her sort of assignment to go find a new place to establish the colony, the hive, which bees really do. They really do swarm in the spring to find new places to set up a hive once the hive like reaches a critical mass. So that is based on truth, but these guys are kind of going to be going more interdimensionally. Because it is sort of a sci-fi in an odd way, especially the first half of my story. So that's what's going on there.
Thank you. And then we have a moment with Millie buying some cookies for some Ant Scouts.
Oh yeah, this one was definitely just like cheeky, like, lol, because I just thought it would be funny if they're Ant Scouts, little Girl Scout style, selling cookies, and Millie's like, oh, I'll support, yes. We're selling cookies for our fundraiser. Would you like to buy some? Oh, I would love to. Ant cookies because they're shaped like ants. That's one of the reasons. Thank you, ma'am. Bye. Bye. And then she looks at it, and it's just all ant ingredients, which is, I guess, actually, wait, now I'm outing my lack of bug knowledge, because I think ants, I think they do eat each other, actually. I think they do cannibalize.
Do we have anyone to weigh in on this?
Yeah,
do
they
y'all
definitely
know?
do this.
Okay. I was like pretty sure, but then I was like, but wait, when I would put Fruit Loops on an anthill, they would eat that. But they are kind of like, they're just like one ecosystem that just feeds off of themselves, and then they have the larva and they clean up the larva, and then there's also like the ant with the bubble butt that like drinks the juice out of the butt. Anyway, that's not what the comic is about, but it's just me being
Stay tuned
silly.
for next year's.
Right, that'll be in a future comic.
Again, and better a vessel for a bug, perhaps.
Right.
Bug story.
They're kind of, they look kind of good, like cute.
Oh, and I felt like this was a very good map for me to know some things. I also have a personal thing where I really hate scorpions, and I feel good that I'm outside of the zone of scorpions. I just don't want to encounter one personally. I feel really good that I can't encounter one in Boston.
I have relatives in Texas, and I've learned that if you have a black light, if you go out at night, you can black light for scorpions. It's a total blast. Sorry,
That actually
don't
sounds
do that.
pretty fun. No, see, you're selling me on this.
It's really fun. They really glow. What we don't have scorpions here, but we do have our pseudoscorpions, which are these sort of like really like not closely related critters that they don't have a stinger, but they have these claws. And the first time I saw one, I saw this little bug in my bed, and I was like, oh my God, a bed bug. And I kind of went to poke it, and it saw me, and it went with these scorpion claws, but it was tiny, and I just started laughing, and I was like, you are the cutest little friend I've ever seen, and I put it outside. So we have pseudo-scorpions, too, that will eat, like, your book lice and stuff.
That sounds like a great introduction to scorpions.
Yes! They're like a gateway scorpion.
Yeah.
So this was with a group called Recluse or Not, that I don't know if they're still active. It was a few years ago, but it's a flow chart about are you dealing with brown recluse spiders or not, and how to identify them. Unfortunately, you do get to a point where you have to look at the eye arrangement. That's kind of hopefully you've ruled them out before that, because that makes things kind of challenging. But yeah, I worked with them and made it pretty accurate. And it's one of these things, whenever I make something like this, someone in like Maine will say, yeah, but I got bit by a brown recluse. It turns out that and this happened to me, people can get random bites or random skin pricks, or, I just developed a cyst on my cheek from pricking something, and doctors will say it's a spider bite, but nobody knows if these are actually spider bites, and they're probably not. So this was sort of meant to be reassuring, but everybody has a story of being bitten by a spider. I do have a good friend, a cartoonist, Jeffrey Rowland, who got bit by an actual brown recluse, and I thought it was actually up here because it was like in some clothes that he got imported into the area. But otherwise, you're okay.
Somehow.
Yeah. But otherwise, you're really okay. If you do live in those areas, though, there are ways of dealing with brown recluses. But yeah, this was fun.
Can I interject really quick? Are they in Wisconsin, based on the flow chart?
Okay, so I'm from Canada. I don't know where it was.
Any geography and experts in the audience want to weigh in?
States. Can you rephrase it in the form of
We
a
see
bug?
a
Because
note of
I see it.
Wisconsin.
I see it in the base. I only ask because I'm not trying to actually you, but my mom got bit by a brown recluse, but it was like definitely a brown recluse because she got bit on her foot and the skin started like dying, and they had to like do surgery, or at least the doctor said it was.
Well,
brown
so
recluse.
this is the thing: is I got cellulitis once, which is like a skin, like strep or staph infection, and I also got necrosis, and then it healed up, and it was not a spider bite.
Oh.
So these things can happen, and spiders are taking the fall for them.
Oh,
I'm not
well,
saying your
dang.
mom didn't. I need
Well,
to
now
figure
I
out
don't
where
want to blame a
Wisconsin
brown
is.
recluse if it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know where Wisconsin is. Ask me about Prince Edward Island, and I'm all.
It's okay. I know nothing about Canada.
It's fine. We had some audience interaction. The general consensus is no. Have to forgive me. I'm in the Northeast, so I'm bad at identifying a lot of things too. Are there more bugs in your future? Or, what are you working on going forward? And is it bug related? Like, tell me about your upcoming things.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. So I've been doing these like really small one-off gag strips about the Arthropunk characters, and I really want to give them an actual solid, like long form story. Right now, I just finished a big project that debuted at Mice, so now that that's done, I'm going to start thinking about what the story is going to be for the Arthropunk crew.
What story did you just finish up?
It's a story about cowboys in the open range era of the American West. It's called Triumph, New Mexico, and so if you want to come to the smaller area where I'm tabling, come pick up a copy. I'm very proud of it. It's very cool. It's not about bugs, it's about dogs mostly.
Awesome. That also explains the lovely shirt you
Yes,
have on.
I am repping my new cowboy themed work with the bolo tie.
Excellent.
Right now, the tentative title for the upcoming have not yet started Arthropunk long form comic is going to be called A Long Week's Journey into Weekend, which I think is funny.
Yeah,
We'll see how the story comes together.
No, took me a second, but
Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
I'm afraid I'm a traitor to the invertebrates, and it's all birds lately.
That's okay.
So
I
many
might be
birds.
here talking about birds next year. You know?
Okay. If
you
you want
never
a
know.
bird panel, yeah, I can agree. Yeah, I'm talking at a bunch of bird festivals. I have a regular comic in the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's magazine, Living Bird. I've got a book coming out in the spring that's a humorous dictionary about birdwatching terms, which I don't know why they let me do it, but hey.
Sounds
But what
incredible.
I am going to do, I'm very excited about this summer, is run my first moth night, which I've never done before.
Tell me everything.
So if you've never been to a moth ball, it is, like pun fully intended, it is like the most fun you can possibly have. So birdwatchers wake up at 5 a.m, it's terrible. Moth people stroll outside after it's dark. You put up a bunch of sheets. There's particular lights you can put up. If you look up National Moth Week, they'll have all the information about all the equipment that you need. And then you just wait around and like drink a beer and wait for the moths to show up, and then you can take beautiful pictures of them. There used to be an event in Ohio called Mothapalooza that was 5 days of this, and it was just sheets all over the place with moths landing on them, and it's pure magic, different critters, so it's
Sounds
great.
excellent.
Yeah, the later you stay up, the more cool moths you get, because the Sphinx moths come out later. So it's just an incentive to hang out with your friends outside at night till 3 a.m. It's heaven.
Yeah, sounds perfect, honestly. Making me a little sad that it's, heading into the winter months, but something to look forward to.
So I hope to work on a book about cicadas soon, I'm gonna have it be a human character, unfortunately. I'm just kidding. And about her transitioning into a new middle school. But it's the summer and like the cicadas are gonna come out, and she's gonna get to know a new grandmother who has like a super hobbyist about bugs, and is like teaches her about the cicadas, and they kind of bond over the cicadas. And it'll be the 17-year cicadas, because those are the ones that came out when I was in middle school, and it was crazy. And this one girl like ate one of them, but like not even like she took one of the ones that was like molting and then like squished the guts into her mouth, and I was like, hey, leave it be. I was really sad, actually.
You've had a lot of like empathetic moments with bugs in your life that have really stuck. It comes through.
they just, I don't know, they tug at my heartstrings, I guess. And then I also have this other idea that I'll probably need to pitch to an indie press called Millipede Manor, that'll be about like a bunch of old ladybugs. Not ladybugs, the bug, but like old ladies who are bugs and different bug species. And I feel like that one's been percolating for a long time, and I can't decide if I want it to be a murder mystery or like, well, maybe I should, because you went, ooh.
It's just not where I expected you to be going with this.
I know, I feel like a Pill Book Story was very like wholesome, and I'm like, maybe now a murder needs to happen. Ooh. I mean, besides the bug deaths, but those weren't, well, they're murders, but they're so bugs can like survive, where I was like, what if this is just a murder out of like,
there wasn't like the sort of intrigue and passion of like a murder mystery.
Right. It was more just like, I'm hungry, chomp.
Yeah. It's very casual.
Right, very casual. So those are the two ideas that I'm percolating that I hope to get out in the next couple years. Comics take so long, I wish it didn't.
Yeah.
Say lovey.
Yeah. It's a product of the, it's what we do, right? It's like,
Wait, what's the phrase?
devil's in the details?
Yeah, wait, that's not the right.
No.
The devil, you know. I don't know.
It's the,
Comics is hard.
comics be hard.
Yeah.
When are the cicadas coming back? The 17 years cicadas coming back to your area, where I think we're in the similar area, right?
They came out this year in Wisconsin, or not just Wisconsin.
Wait, you live in Wisconsin? Oh, I thought you lived in New York.
We have
I
some.
do live in New York, but
Okay.
We
yeah.
have some here. They're coming out in the next couple years. I forget. There's a huge map, but there's a small chunk of a brood that's coming out in Massachusetts.
The 17 years.
It's one of the periodical ones.
Yeah.
Does anyone know exactly when? Yeah.
Audience.
No, please.
there is, hypothetically, we're not sure if they're still around, so it's very exciting to find out. But there's of a brood that's coming out next year, 2025, in like the Cape Cod area.
Yes.
And it would be in like late April or early.
So debuting April of 2025, Cicadas in Cape Cod. Brought to you by the Earth.
Let's all plan a trip.
Yeah.
It would be nice to correspond your book with, like,
That would be epic.
yeah, that would be cool. But
You might have to wait a little bit.
and also,
Right, I'll just wait 17 years.
yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes that long to make a comic. Really.
Yeah, that is
Valid.
It will truly be an epic.
1,000 pages.
Yeah, speaking of taking time to make things, I think that there will be more bugs in my future because I'm not done with the Hive story. I'd like to reprint it, and I'd like to add a little more in the Hive itself in my story. I'd like to revisit the drones a little bit. I kind of just skipped right over the drones, and I'd like to include them in the story. So I would like to revisit that, and hopefully in a year or so reprint the book in its full form, which would be like 100 pages. But I set these goals for myself, and then see what happens.
Awesome. So you can find these folks. Vernon is in the Brookline room, which is a smaller room, as well as Valita, and Allison is in the larger room. And Rosemary, your website is birdandmoon.com.
Yeah,
where the
I'm
comics
also
are?
Rosemary. It's all under rosemarymosco.com, and I'm the only one, so I can't do
Oh.
anything evil ever. If you Google me, I will come up.
I don't really get too much evil impression off the bat, so I think it'll be all right. But we do have a few minutes if anyone has any questions for our panelists. My friend in the corner, please. Yeah.
I could also project, if that works better.
Whichever makes you happier.
Microphone. Okay, yes. Hi. Hi, Maeve Mooney, also beginner comic-ist person, kind of, really. So do you have any advice for, like, where to specifically find facts about bugs to incorporate into stories? Like, specifically, you're a beekeeper. I was thinking of making a Winnie the Pooh style thing where Winona the Pooh, she would end up becoming a beekeeper, but there's a lot of bee facts that I'm really uncertain about, and I don't really know where to get started. Do you know if there's any, like, Boston local beekeeper places to meet people in real life who would know stuff about this, or?
Well, I'm not from Boston, I'm from New York, but I can tell you two things. One, you can definitely find a local chapter of beekeepers wherever you are. And two, people who keep bees love to talk about keeping bees. So if you meet someone who, you find out keeping bees, just go ahead and pick their brain and they'll tell you, like, everything. And you might not be able to get them to stop talking about it. So I think you'll be able to get direct sources that way. And then, yeah, I absolutely think you could find it could be a community garden. I don't know where in Massachusetts you live. Do you live in Boston?
Yeah, like, just 20 minutes train from here, like on the same line that this place is on.
Yeah, so even if you're, like, living in the suburbs or urban area, people keep bees. I have a friend who keeps bees in New York City, and that's, like, what they do for a living. They go around and, like, keep bees for businesses and even private households that want to have a hive but maybe necessarily don't want to open it up. So yeah, I think you'll definitely be able to, if you Google or search, you'll definitely be able to find someone, and they will be absolutely willing to talk to you about them.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
I think we have time for one more question. You.
So what's your, like, favorite way to look for reference images? Obviously, like, bugs are very not like people. I think most artists who maybe would want to get into drawing bugs or something like that are gonna maybe have a little bit of a harder time because it's a little harder to wrap your head around the anatomy differences between obviously an invertebrate and a vertebrate. What were either, like, your introductions into, like, learning bug anatomy, or what's your preferred method of studying insect anatomy and how they are different from sort of more traditional drawing teachings, I guess?
I recommend, there's so many good field guides. There are some ridiculously specific ones. There's one that's just Field Guide to Ants of the Northeast. There's Bees in Your Backyard is an incredible one about bees. I could go on for hours, I won't, but there's so many really,
You have
really
a couple
good.
minutes, so.
Well, there's this woman, Chris, I can't remember her last name, who just came out. She, like, self-published an incredible guide to the social wasps of North America, and she just did another one. I think cicadas. There's some exceptional field guides. I'd recommend field guides. In terms of images of bugs just in the wild, iNaturalist is amazing too. Those are often, images are often Creative Commons use too, which doesn't mean you can trace them, but it means that if you want to post them online with credit, you can do that. So iNaturalist, do you know iNaturalist? It's truly incredible. But yeah, I have a bookshelf that's just entirely hyper-specific field guides, bumblebees, caddisflies, flower flies, everything, and I just use that.
You look like you have something.
Yeah, I would also recommend museums. There's, I don't think this is something that every museum has, but the Smithsonian, Natural History in New York, and the Field Museum in Chicago all have enlarged, like, plastic anatomical models on display of various insects. And I remember when I started Arthropunk, I went to the Smithsonian and I found that exhibit, and I just spent a whole bunch of time taking pictures of these models so that I could figure out how to draw the bug heads.
DC is definitely a great resource for that.
Yeah, go down to the Smithsonian. I'm sure there's museums here that have model insects too, though.
The Harvard Natural History Museum has some really good ones. Yeah. One of my favorite places. Also, some of the taxidermy is like delightfully warped. So if that entertains you too. And the whales.
Also, if you know anyone at the Museum of Comparative Zoology, which is like right next door to it, and they let you in to look at all their bugs, they have an incredible collection. It's just so cool.
Excellent.
It doesn't help you with finding specific bugs, but I also look at the ground a lot. Which I know very okay, but it does help.
Underutilized resource.
Also, in New York, I live by Prospect Park, and if it's a rainy day and I go in the park and I look at the fence, there's always a bunch of bugs on it. Especially the top part, I don't know why. One time there was a praying mantis, and I saw it 2 times in a row in 1 week, and I thought I was gonna watch it grow, but the third time I looked, I couldn't find it, and I practically cried, because I hadn't seen a praying mantis in real life, except for in a museum or something, and I was like, oh my God, this is my moment, and it was a little one too. So that helps. Especially if it's rainy, then go looking for bugs, or if it's just rained.
Oh wait, sorry.
No, please.
I have so
We
much.
have a
Yeah, I don't
couple
want
minutes.
to. I'll put in one more plug for something called Bug Shot. It's this amazing event that happens. They do it, I think, maybe once a year, but they alternate between America and somewhere fancy. And it's just an insect macro photography workshop. I went once, and it was absolutely incredible. They go to Belize, and then they go to New Jersey or whatever, and it's half photographers and half entomologists. And you'll learn to actually take really good pictures of these little guys that then you can look at. Yeah, so Bug Shot, they're great.
Bug shot. Awesome.
I was also going to suggest, depending on what kind of bug you're interested in drawing, but sometimes there's a great educational models that you can get. I think the Waldorf and Montessori schools will make life cycle models that are pretty accurate, and they're larger, so you don't have to squint down at the bug. Of course, you have to do scale stuff then if you use them, but that could be something you could pose as well. And of course, life, you can draw from life, but you can also, I'm not telling you to hurt any poor bugs, but sometimes you may find a bug who was passed on, and I have done this, and use them as a model. So yes, there's lots of ways to.
I'm willing to gander a lot of people here, including myself, have done that before. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for talking about bugs. Please check out our artists' work and enjoy the rest of the show. And thank you for coming to MICE.